Hello. So we are ready to broadcast on Monday, November 17th, 2014. So it is time to talk about money, and that's like something that most people don't like to talk about because it's a very sensitive subject, but we're going to talk about money. But first, I want to tell you about my weekend. So I had a really great weekend. Like, it was a lot of fun. Phil and I went shopping, and then we went to a basketball game. It was the Mad Ants opening night. So I would like to show you a little bit of clip from that. So let's see if I can get screen share to work today. Let's see. It's asking me what screen do I want to share. I'll try this one. See if this works. So I can go to here maybe. Let's see if this works.
Yeah. Yeah, I've started recording, so now they're doing that. Yeah. Whoa.
That's not what I want. Sorry about that. I need this one. All right. So hopefully that worked, and you saw the basketball game. I don't know. Yeah, that should have worked because now we're back to here. Yeah. So, okay. So hopefully that worked. Cross my fingers that it worked. So that was my weekend. I went to, like, it was really fun. What did we do? We came home and, just kind of relaxed a little bit, and then we went to the basketball game. But I know there was something else we did that was really fun, but maybe not. And then, Sunday was church, and then we had our Sunday night service, and during the day we got some things done that we really been wanting to get done. So that's really great. I'm really happy that we got those things done. Okay, so let's start. We're going to start in 1 Corinthians 13:3, but first we're going to pray. Lord Jesus, I bring this broadcast to you. I hope that it will benefit someone and that I will speak your words and not mine. Amen. Okay, so this is going to be from 1 Corinthians 13:3. Paul wrote, "If I give all I possess to the poor, but do not have love, I gain nothing." Recently, we completed a church stewardship. The program consisted of a series of messages starting with the big picture of living for Christ. We then discussed how stewardship fits into a life that is pleasing to God, including the Bible's guidance on managing money. So this is from the upper room that I'm always talking about, and so I'm reading. As stewardship chairperson, I stood up a meeting with our pastor before the campaign to discuss how we would determine the success of that campaign. I expected response to be something along the lines of a 5% increase in total giving, perhaps more people pledging this year than last year. But when I asked the question, I was surprised at his answer. He said his view of success would be seeing people move closer to God. The more I reflected on his response, the more I realized he was right. The widow in today's story gave generously, and Jesus commended her for it. I honestly believe that God doesn't care how much we, but how we give, from the heart, joyfully, with the desire to move closer to God as an act of trust. If we are moving closer to God in our worship, prayer, service, and witness, then our joyful, generous giving will follow as a natural expression of our thanks to God for all God has given to us. So that is from that. So I want to say some things like I'm going to give you a little bit of history of my life, but I don't want this to come up as I'm bragging. I don't want it to come off as, feel sorry for me, because that's not the intention at all. This was the past, and this is what I have accomplished, through what I went through. Okay, so when I was living in Minnesota, I got divorced, and I fell on hard times, like big time. And I was really, really poor. And some people use that word lightly. I was really poor. I didn't have a job, and I had a daycare center. I had opened up a daycare center, and I kept it open for 10 years. But since the divorce, I decided to close because I was tired of doing daycare anyway. I really wanted to do something else. And so I closed the daycare, and it was really an emotional thing too. I was really emotionally ready to close the daycare. The daycare had to close. Okay, so I closed the daycare. I didn't have any money, and I'm barely getting food to eat because I would go to the church and pick up groceries from the church. So thankful for that. Support your local food bank, because I would have been far off worse if they didn't have that. And yes, my mom was there. My mom would love to have stepped in and help me out, but I wouldn't let her. Sometimes I would let her buy food for me, but I told her, this is my problem, and I need to figure out how to get through my problem, because if she gives me money to pay a certain bill, what am I going to do the next time that bill comes around? I can't just have her keep giving me the money. I have to figure out myself through this. Please don't break on me, computer. Work. You just got to reboot, even though I didn't mean to do that. So you should be happy. Okay, so I unplugged my fridge because I figured, since I kind of had a little mini apartment upstairs in my house, I didn't really need the big fridge running when I only had 3 things in the fridge. So I had a mini fridge upstairs, and downstairs in the kitchen, I unplugged my fridge. So that helped to save electricity. I did not have cable. I only had internet. And I had a radio that I would listen to. Oh, that was the coolest TV. It was a TV combination radio. I loved that thing. Thing was so cool. It had a remote, and you could click on the remote to change the radio station like you would a channel. It was so fantastic. But then it fell down and it broke. I was so mad. And so it was a 13-inch screen. I loved it. And so, so that's how I would have entertainment, is the internet, Second Life, the radio. And I had a little mini fridge. I didn't have a bed because what happened to the bed? The bed broke. Yeah, the bed broke, and so I got rid of the bed because I was completely cleaning out the house. I gutted the shower. We had one shower in the basement, and I completely gutted it. So I didn't even have a shower because it was moldy and nasty. It was so gross. And so I completely gutted that. And I was hauling. We had a built-in couch in the basement. I completely gutted that, except for I think one side. And I think I did it more out of anger, the couch, because the couch, it was old, but I think the couch was okay. I think I could have left the couch alone, but I was so angry. And I tell you, it was very therapeutic because I had a hammer, and I was bang, 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 banging the couch, getting it all, cleaned out. I had how many feet was it? I don't know how many feet it was, but I had this big dumpster, and I had to get 2 of them. And I think it was okay, if you take the average driveway, it filled the average driveway, the whole driveway. I think that's a good way to say it. I had 2 of those, and I cleaned out the house because my ex liked to keep a lot of things, and I would like tell him, I'm cleaning the house. You need to come get your things. He lived 2 doors down. He didn't get them. So I'm not going to go on about that. But I got rid of some stuff, and the things that he didn't get, I sold on eBay because that was how I could make money so that I could pay my bills. And then some people on Second Life, the Salvation Army, the ringing, they did that on Second Life. They raised money for me. So I am telling you this story because I want you to really see the faith that I had in God, that he would help me through, and that I was not going to just look for a handout, because that is not faith. Faith is really relying on God to get you through. And so, like I said in the beginning, I'm not trying to paint this picture so that you feel sorry for me, because that is the past. The past is done. But what I'm trying to do is, if you are going through some similar things, I'm really a good person to talk to because I really understand. And so that's why I'm saying the story. And that's why I'm saying it really takes faith. Even though I barely had any money, I really can't even know how I paid the bills. I don't know how I did that. And then I got myself out of debt because I signed up for Care One credit, and I would pay them, I think it was like $150 a month or something like that. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And because I think I have this belief that there's money everywhere. You just have to find it. And so it just takes a lot of faith. And I got debt free in 5 years. And so that is because I had faith, and I used this program that I saw on TV when we had TV. And I was like, man, I should start that because then I could get out of debt. Now I'm still debt free. So I'm saying faith really makes a difference. And what I want to say is, even though I didn't have any money, I still tithed. And the way that I tithed was with my time, because the Bible states that you need to give yourself to God. You need to give tithing to God and offerings. And so if you don't have money, then you need to give time. And so that is what I did. And now I'm much better off, and I can sponsor a little girl in Mexico. Well, we do it together, but I guess the way I think of tithing is, and maybe this is wrong, but I think of it as like a fundraiser. And we go, you go around collecting pledges to donate to a certain cause. That's how a fundraiser works, especially if the kids are doing it. So it's kind of like when you're giving your offering to God, like tithing, it's kind of like you're fundraising for the church, because the church, they need to provide with the bills, the plowing, the grass cutting, the electricity, the plumbing, emergencies, all that kind of stuff they have to pay for, and they can't do it without funds. But with everybody doing their part and having faith and committing to give a certain amount to the church, it's kind of like you're fundraising for God, because giving like a little bit of yourself, you're giving a little bit of money to the church. That is what fundraising is. So to me, it's kind of like fundraising. And when we do give, we get closer to God. God says he loves a cheerful giver. God doesn't care what we give, but he cares how we give, from the heart. It's an act of trust. I trusted God, therefore I paid my bills with nothing really but faith. I mean, that's the only way I can explain it, because it really doesn't make any sense. I finally got a job at McDonald's, like after being off for 6 months, I think I was off for 6 months. I finally got a job at McDonald's because I got to the point where I was emotionally ready to get a job. And then, I knew that I needed to get a job. And so I tried and tried and tried. I think I was working at Arby's for a little bit, and that didn't work out. So I finally got a job at McDonald's. I made I don't know how much I made. No, I don't remember how much I made, but I think it was like $7 something an hour. My rent was $400 a month, and I paid rent, and I did not eat at McDonald's. I had my own groceries. And so people tell me, oh, I can't afford to buy my own groceries, and so I'm not saying that like everybody who works at McDonald's should be able to pay rent, because it was a small town, so maybe rent is cheaper, so I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I myself, I was working at McDonald's, and I was able to pay rent all on my own. I was able to, buy my own food, and I had a cat. I still had the cat. I still have the cat. And, I still had both of them, but now one is passed, but I still had both cats. And so it's really amazing because my cats, and I know I'm like rambling, but this is a lot to say. My cats are a bit sensitive. They can only have certain types of food, but for some reason, when I was living in that apartment, they could have the cheapest cat food, and they'd be fine. There's no way that they would be able to have that now. If I gave them the cheap stuff now, maybe a couple days they'd be okay, but after a while they'd just start puking it up. And that's just amazing to me that that God made the cats even survive on the cheapest food. So when we tithe, it moves us closer to God because we feel like we're giving of ourselves to God, and that's how we can move closer to God. And we can also move closer to God in worship, prayer, service, and witness. This is how we can be faithful servants. We are all given the ability. So I want to read 1 Corinthians 13:3. If I give all I possess to the poor, but do not have love, I gain nothing. And so I'm not making this video because I want to say, oh, I did it so everybody else can do it. I mean, maybe in some respects I am, but in other respects, everybody's situation is different. And so, I can say, oh, it worked for me, it should work for you. But really, that's not the case. And I think I used to think that way, but not everybody goes through, not everybody has the ability to have such faith that I did, or something like that. So I'm really not trying to, have a bad attitude towards people who are poor or suffering or something like that, so don't get the wrong idea. So that is all. I hope you will subscribe, and I hope you will share this video if you think that somebody could benefit. And I will talk to you later. I am going to go for a walk, and I'm really hoping that this video worked. So we shall see. I think I'll go for a walk. It's snowing. There is so much snow. Like, maybe that's another thing I was going to say. I am such a happy camper. There is so much snow. They said that we got like 2 or 3 inches. They said we got 3 inches. So I'm just like, yeah. So I'm going to go for a walk because I really need to exercise. Today was a rough day, so I really need to exercise. So I'll see you later. Bye. I'm going to go play in the snow.